This is Bloodhound SSC. It's going to be the fastest car in the world, and it's designed to travel at over 1,000 miles an hour. I'm Dr. Yan Wong, and I'm here in the home of Bloodhound, where scientists and engineers are all working on this amazing project. And with me are children from around the country who are investigating what will make this one of the most incredible vehicles ever to be built.
It's called BloodHound SSC. SSC stands for Supersonic Car. It's trained to travel over 1,000 miles per hour.
That's faster than a bullet fired from a gun.
It's aiming to break the land speed record of 763 miles an hour set by this car in 1997.
It's taken 5 years of the latest maths, science and engineering to design it.
So you've seen Bloodhound SSC now. What do you make of it?
It's amazing. But is it really a car? It doesn't look like one. Or is it a plane?
Or maybe it's a bit like a boat.
What?
Well, that's what I want you to go and find out.
We've come to Mallory Park Racing Track in Leicestershire.
We want to find out why, if Bloodhound is a car, it looks so different to other racing cars. At the track today is Bloodhound team engineer Connor and racing driver Simon.
Why is this car different to Bloodhound?
This is a distant cousin of Bloodhound's. This was designed to do 200 miles an hour. Bloodhound, remember, does 1,000 miles an hour.
Also, this car's got a piston engine, and Bloodhound has a jet engine and a rocket motor. Also, this car's designed to go fast down the straights, but also quick around the bends, so it's shorter wheelbase. Whereas Bloodhound, we just focus on going very fast in a straight line to a very long wheelbase.
So would you like to see me take this out for a short run?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So Bloodhound is a bit like a car, but looks different because it only has to go in a straight line to break the land speed record. It certainly won't be going around bends like this.
But it doesn't explain why racing cars seem to come in all shapes and sizes. Maybe it's something to do with how fast they go.
Which one of these cars is the fastest?
Well, that's the interesting thing. In a straight line, they're almost exactly the same top speed. So Connor can tell us why that's so important for Bloodhound.
It's a really great question, but look, if you look at this car, it's a really streamlined shape and really narrow wheels. This car's streamlined, but it's got big wings on it to give it downforce and really wide tyres. So this is actually closer to Bloodhound. We've got a streamlined shape and we want very narrow wheels, low drag, because we're trying to be as slippery as we can to go as fast as we can in a straight line.
We've come to a water ski park in Gloucestershire
To meet Junior Championship water skier Katie Nutt.
Katie started skiing when she was just 4 years old and is now a national champion for her age. Travelling at speeds of up to 32 miles an hour, she certainly knows all about getting across water fast.
But first we've come to ask Bloodhound aerodynamics expert Ben Evans why he thinks Bloodhound is like a boat.
We think that what's going to happen, even though Bloodhound is running across a solid desert surface, because it's going to be going so fast, it will actually be breaking up that surface and turning it into almost like a liquid. So, and it'll behave a little bit like a boat. So the faster it goes, the more it will raise up out of the surface.
We're at a water ski park. What's Bloodhound got to do with water skiing?
The wheels will be a little bit like Katie's water skis. As it gets faster, the car will rise up. And actually, the shape of Bloodhound is very similar to the shape of Katie's ski. It's very long and thin and has a pointy front. And that's to get the drag of the car down as low as we can.
Is that like a rocket being very long and thin?
Yeah, absolutely. For exactly the same reason that rockets are very long and thin is the reason why Bloodhound is long and thin. In fact, Bloodhound is a little bit like a rocket, just on its side, skimming across the top of the desert. Okay, so Katie is very low down in the water now that she's moving very slowly. And as the boat speeds up and pulls her, look, she raises up out of the water. And she's now on top of the water. And I think Bloodhound is going to do something very similar to that.
Unlike Katie, Bloodhound will have to be in contact with the surface at all times in order to break the land speed record.
And you can also see the waves that she's creating. And Bloodhound will also be creating waves, but there'll be shock waves in the air, not on the water. So now her ski is right up on top of the water, gliding across the top. And Bloodhound's wheels will have risen up on top of the desert and be sliding across the top of the desert.
There's one person who surely knows whether Bloodhound is a plane, and that's Bloodhound's driver, Andy Green. He's also a fighter pilot for the RAF.
Is Bloodhound a plane?
Bloodhound is very much a car. It's the big challenge about any high-speed car is keeping it on the ground. And unlike an aeroplane like this, we can't generate any lift because at 5 times as fast, you generate 25 times as much lift and the car would fly. So we have to keep it absolutely on the ground all the time. That's the difficult bit. That's what's taken us 5 years of research.
So if you're a pilot, why are you driving Bloodhound?
Yeah, it's a good question. Of course, it is a car, so why have you got a pilot who's used to flying driving the car? And of course, although it's a car, it's doing supersonic speed, so it's doing jet fighter speeds, it's using a jet engine and a rocket, it's going 5 times as fast as a Formula 1 car, it's generating huge loads, things are happening incredibly quickly. From stationary, the car will be 10 miles away in 100 seconds, much, much faster than most race cars have to cope with, much more complicated. So it's very much perfect background for me as a Royal Air Force fighter pilot. That's why we've got a pilot driving the world's fastest car.
So what do you think Bloodhound is?
It's shaped a lot like a plane.
I think it's a bit like a boat.
Well, I think it's a bit like a car because it has 4 wheels. But it's not really like any of them.
No, and engineers have had to understand all of those things to design it. In fact, that's when the science is at its most exciting, when you're doing something that no one's done before. It's an engineering adventure. Bloodhound promises to be the fastest car in the world, but like all cars, it needs some way to power it. So here at New Invention Junior School in the West Midlands, we're going to build our own cars, look at different ways of powering them, and see which ones go fastest. Hiya! Right, are you ready to build some cars?
Yeah.
Excellent, let's go through here. Here we go, just sit down in pairs. We're going to explore 2 different ways of powering the cars. One involves using a rubber band tied around the car's axles, which will power the wheels. But instead of driving the wheels, the second method uses a balloon which will push the car along. The cars that you see on the road have engines which directly power and turn the wheels, which is how they move. However, some vehicles, like these specialist dragsters, have no direct power to the wheels, and instead they're pushed along by rockets or jet engines.
Should we attach 2 balloons or 1? We need to attach the 2 because it make it go faster.
Of course, you have to try experimenting with this stuff, so I'm really quite pleased that some of these kids are trying it with 2 balloons or extra elastic bands, changing the length of the axles, the length of the straws, all sorts of stuff. You've just got to experiment to see what works best. It's time to test our models and see which methods would work best for breaking the 1,000 miles an hour mark. But before we reveal the results, why don't you go and try out some of these designs for yourself? Up first is Bloodhound Heroes with a double balloon-powered car. Oh, pretty good. Just fell off right at the end, but I reckon that's 2.5 seconds. Our next 2 racers, Teddy Bears with a single balloon-powered car and Jelly Beans, the only team to opt for a car powered by elastic bands, didn't quite make it to the finish line. Oh, 2 balloon car. Okay, no, bit in front of it, that's it. Hey, nicely done. 1.5 seconds. Right, go.
See, it doesn't work at all,
Ah, 3 seconds 85. So the winner is this Bloodhound 2 balloon-powered car. You've won the top prize for the land speed record in New Invention Junior School, West Midlands. Well done. So what did you think when you were building it?
Well, at first we started with 1 balloon, but then we thought it's not going very fast, so then we decided to put 2 on to make it go.
Yes, and they weren't inflated that huge, were they? So, but the two made a big difference, and the nozzles are pointing out backwards quite well.
We found out that if you stuck one to the side and one to the middle, then they wouldn't like clash so that the air would come out.
Yeah, and the balloons sort of keep it out of each other's ways as well.
They weren't actually inflating when they were together.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, it rolls rather nicely. Yours is very smooth. That must make a big difference as well. On our track, the elastic band car didn't have the power it needed to cross the finish line, and it was the double balloon cars which proved the most successful. So actually, your model is really like the Bloodhound car, because in normal cars, the wheels are powered like with those elastic band cars that we made, but in Bloodhound, it's powered by throwing air out the back, either with a jet engine or a rocket. So this is actually quite similar to the way that Bloodhound is propelled. So Bloodhound's a bit like a boat, a plane and a car, but that doesn't answer the question of what it's like to drive. What do you think it'd be like sitting in that cockpit accelerating to 1,000 miles an hour?
Really exciting. Really frightening.
Well, I'm sure it'll be both of those, but I bet there's a lot more to it as well, and I'd like you to find out.
This is the man who's going to take his life in his hands driving Bloodhound. Andy Green is a fighter pilot in the RAF and used to fly Phantom jets like these. We wanted to know what fighter pilot skills he'll need to drive Bloodhound.
The lovely countryside of North Yorkshire.
Yeah, and we're here at this barn to find out what it's like to be Bloodhound driver Andy Green.
Really?
Yeah, come on, I'll show you.
Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Come on, hurry up. Left, right, halt. Attention. Good morning, cadets. Today you're going to learn what it's like to be a fighter pilot like Wing Commander Andy Green and have a go in our simulator. Are you up for that?
Yes, sir.
Jolly good. In that case, if you'd like to follow me. This is a photograph of the inside of the cockpit you're going to be sat in.
Just like Bloodhound, there are loads of dials and switches to get your head around.
3 dials is your airspeed, that's ADI, and the altimeter. The power dials, maximum flap for maximum drag. Left engine, right engine. I've only shown you about 1/3 of the controls that you'll have to use to fly this aircraft. If you were to fly it in real life, you would need to know what every single one of those dials is doing, what every single switch and knob does and where it is. So you're doing an awful lot all at the same time.
Yes, sir.
I'll catch you yawning then.
It's a lot to remember.
I think I'm going to struggle if I am going to be flying it, but I hope James would do it because I'm going to struggle.
You're going to struggle, I'm going to struggle.
The time has come to take the controls and get a sense of what Andy will have to deal with driving Bloodhound.
Now that's 150. Now pull back very gently on the stick towards you. There you go. Now you've left the ground. Well done, you're flying.
Okay, what do I do now? Do I put the wheels up?
Yes, lift up the lollipop handle on the left. Well done, that's excellent.
Oh, this is well good. It was really difficult controlling the plane at high speed, especially when they had to try flying between the chimneys of a power station at 900 miles an hour.
Because it was at dark, you were trying to find the right buttons and it was quite hard, but when I crashed it, I felt really silly.
It felt like you were actually in a plane. It is a proper simulator.
Bloodhound with Andy Green in, it would be a lot faster than this.
It must be amazing going and doing what Andy does.
So Andy Green's going to have a lot to think about driving the car, but what's it really going to feel like?
We've come to meet the man himself, Bloodhound driver Andy Green, to show us his private plane. And to my amazement, he's offered to take me up for a flight to demonstrate firsthand what sort of forces he'll feel on his body.
This is amazing! We're actually airborne!
Okay, and here we're coming up to the River Thames. See the river down on the right, all the boats.
Yeah, I see it. That is amazing. I never thought I'd see it from this high.
Flying this loop-the-loop makes you feel 3 times the force of gravity. Exactly what Andy will feel when he's accelerating in Bloodhound. It's time to hold on to my seat.
And just look back now, there's the ground upside down.
The force of my body made me feel really heavy, and I couldn't lift up my hands. Pilots like Andy call this G-force, and they feel it when the plane accelerates.
Going straight down. G's coming on as we accelerate. There we are, back straight and level.
I think my veins are coming out of my skin.
Yeah, it does feel a bit weird.
To think we weren't travelling at speeds anywhere near to Bloodhound. No wonder they need Andy's skills as a fighter pilot to cope with all the forces he'll experience driving the car.
He did really, really well. Fantastic. Loved all of it. Natural pilot.
Wow, that was quite an adventure. But Andy told me everyone can get a sense of the forces he'll experience back on the grounds at the fun fair. Which is why Nicola and I have come to meet Bloodhound engineer Annie Beresford.
Okay guys, we've come to the fairground today so we can have a go on that ride. That's going to simulate G-force, which is exactly what Andy Green will feel on Bloodhound. Do you fancy a go? Yeah! Okay, let's go. Wait for me!
When Andy Green accelerates in Bloodhound, he'll be thrown back into his seat from G-force, and it will feel just the same as we do on this ride. It makes simple things like lifting your hands really difficult to do, just like it was for me in Andy's plane.
This is what Andy Green will be feeling when he's going really, really fast.
I thought it would be terrifying.
Are you loving it?
It still is, but I'm loving it. I'm glad that went on.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay?
I'm feeling great.
Okay.
The ride felt similar to how I felt in the plane. It's time to get off. Too much excitement for one day.
You felt like you were going to be squashed. You felt like you're going to vomit, but you weren't. They were just holding you there. There's nothing really holding you up. Bloodhound's going to be going really fast, and I think Andy Green's going to be feeling like that, but even worse.
So what's it going to be like to drive?
Very difficult. There's so much to think about.
Very noisy and very hard work too.
You'd probably pass out because of the amount of G-force.
Yeah, and Andy Green's going to have to concentrate really hard, not just to watch all the instruments and to activate the engines, but also to control his body to make sure that the forces on it don't make him black out. Wing Commander Andy Green is the man who will be driving Bloodhound, and he'll need to draw on all of his experiences of travelling at supersonic speeds if he's going to drive Bloodhound to success. Fighter pilots like Andy Green need to be able to constantly monitor loads of stuff that's going on around them and still react almost immediately to anything that happens. When you're going at 1,000 miles an hour in Bloodhound, that can be a matter of life and death. So here in New Invention Junior School in the West Midlands, we're going to find out just how hard that can be. Okay, so you're ready to test your reaction times? So what I'm going to do, or in fact what you're going to do, is you're going to measure it by something called the ruler drop test. And that just involves dropping a ruler and seeing if you can catch it as quickly as possible. So what I want you to do is to hold out your thumb and finger like that. And I'm going to drop this ruler. Okay, I'm not going to tell you when though, and you've got to catch it as soon as you see it move, yeah? Oh, should we try another one? Oh, that's not too bad, just there, okay? Now, was that reasonably easy? Okay, and now I'm going to do it and distract you at the same time, okay? So I've got a sum here, and I'd like you to think about what, and I'll show you it, and then you have to try and calculate it whilst doing this at the same time, okay? So, you ready? Okay. Right, so 47 minus 35 is... Oh!
That's hard.
Pretty hard, isn't it? Let's see if anyone can actually even catch the ruler while they're trying to do a sum. Split into groups of 3. One person to catch the ruler, or not as the case may be, one person to drop it, and the other to record the results. Make sure you repeat each drop 3 times so that you can calculate an average. Right, let's see how sharp you are. Once you've all had a go, introduce the distractions. This could be a mathematical sum to work out.
Yeah. Is it 426?
100.
Or a sequence of random letters, or different shapes and colours to remember. Some of them are getting quite good at this, so let's try and make it harder and introduce a second distraction.
Green rectangle and 20. 19.
So what seems to be going on here is that the children are getting better and better at doing it. So the things with the distractions, which have happened once they've had a bit of practice, they're getting quite good actually. So one thing we can do is try and introduce some really difficult distractions. Okay, right, whenever you fancy it. So you found that pretty difficult, right? You see how difficult it is when you're being really distracted by loads of different stuff. And that's just what it's like driving Bloodhound. There's all these things going on at the same time that are taking your attention, and you still have to be able to react. Really difficult thing to do. Whether you're flying a plane or cycling a bike, there's always a limit to how fast you can go. And the same is true for Bloodhound Supersonic Car. But why is that? So have you any idea why it's so hard to go so fast?
Is it because Bloodhound's really heavy? Is it because the engine isn't powerful enough?
Well, those are both good reasons, but I think what you really need to be looking into is what's stopping it, what's holding it back. And so I'd like you to look into that, okay?
We've come to Manchester, home of indoor skydiving. Let's go.
Skydivers know what it's like to travel through the air fast, so maybe they can give us some clues about why it would be difficult for Bloodhound to travel so fast. We've come to meet Bloodhound engineer Sarah Cavell. She's in charge of Bloodhound's mission control, the nerve centre of the land speed record attempt.
Guess you're wondering why we're here for an indoor skydiving centre. This is Ben. He's an international skydiver, and he's basically going to be simulating how difficult it is for things like Bloodhound to move through air at high speed. He's probably in wind speed of about 150 miles an hour. If you can imagine, Bloodhound's going to be in wind speed of 1,000 miles an hour. So this is going to show us how difficult it is for Bloodhound to move. So what do you reckon? Do you want to go and have a go now? Yeah, come on then, let's go. Okay.
Here you are, that's yours.
Oh, thank you.
It was really difficult for them to keep still in the hurricane force wind, but Ben knew how to carry Nathan right to the top.
So then boys, how did that feel?
Well, good.
Can you imagine that 10 times faster?
No, too fast.
So you can imagine how difficult it's going to be. You trying to keep your body still in there, how hard it's going to be for Bloodhound to try and keep stable and go fast 10 times that speed.
Andy Green's going to have a nightmare.
If we turn the camera on its side, Ben looks like he's travelling horizontally, just like Bloodhound, and we can see how important it is to be the right shape.
So what Ben's doing now is he's adjusting his body shape. So if he keeps streamlined, he's not got very much of a surface area. As he moves his body out and moves his arms out, his surface area increases. So as his surface area increases, more of the wind hits his body. That's how he can rise so high up. That's what we have to try and look at. With Bloodhound, we need to be as streamlined as possible so we don't create any drag or any lift. As we can see now, Ben's got his body quite tight in. As he starts to move one side of his body out further, he creates more lift and more drag on the side of his body, creating him to spin because he's got more force acting on one side of his body. With Bloodhound, we need to try and keep the car completely symmetrical so that when we're running it along at high speed, there's no spin.
Like Bloodhound and the skydivers, aeroplanes have to be the right shape to push through the air at high speed, which is why Nathan and James have come to Manchester City Airport to find out how planes manage to keep stable. Sarah's brought them to meet pilot Mark to show them his microlight aircraft. It's a very lightweight plane, a bit like a hang glider with an engine attached, which makes it easy to see how planes can fly.
So what's this got to do with Bloodhound?
Well, with Bloodhound, we've got to be really careful to not generate any downforce or any lift. And as Mark's about to show you, the smallest amount of movement in the wings can create a lot of lift and a lot of downforce. So I'll pass over to Mark, he'll explain the controls to you.
If we push the bar forwards a tiny little bit, the first thing that happens is the nose will pitch up and then the speed will start to drop off because we're producing more drag. We're producing more lift, but we're also producing more drag. If we pull the bar back a tiny little bit, the nose will lower, we'll start to speed up, but we'll also start to descend as well. And if we move the bar sideways, from left to right, if we pull the left wing down, it'll turn to the left. If we pull the right wing down, it'll turn to the right.
In terms of Bloodhound, if you can imagine the tiny movements at these speeds, these slower speeds, makes a massive difference. At 1,000 miles an hour, it's going to make a huge difference. So we really need to watch our lift and our downforce.
What would happen if Bloodhound did create lift or downforce?
If Bloodhound created downforce, the wheels are going to be forced in and we'd lose speed. If we created lift, there's a danger that the car could lift and actually flip back over if we created too much lift. So we need to watch the forces very carefully, and we've got winglets on the side of the car, like the wing of this microlight, that adjust constantly to stop that from happening.
Okay, let's go.
Now it's James's turn to fly in the microlight. And amazingly, after reaching just 40 miles an hour, pushing the bar forward is enough to get airborne. And just tiny movements on the bar is enough to make the microlight turn sharply through the air. Watch out.
Whoa! That's cool, but it's scary at the same time. Whoa! Touchdown! Bouncy, bouncy.
So once the steering has been taken care of, and with the power of the fighter jet engine on board, you'd think Bloodhound would have no problem breaking the land speed record, but it's not as simple as that.
Right guys, the reason we're down at the pool today is to try and help us demonstrate how Bloodhound needs to work really hard to cut through the air. So James, I want you to be a fast jet plane, trying to fly along at ground level. Nathan, I want you to be a fast jet plane trying to fly along at high altitude, so 40,000 feet. So when I tell you to, I want you to race to the other end of the pool. So on your marks, get set, go. Come on, James.
You might not think it, but there are similarities between air and water. But of course, water is much denser. When you move through them, both air and water have to flow past you.
For James, pushing through water is what it's like for a jet plane at ground level because the air is so much thicker, it slows you down. At high altitude, the air is much thinner and easier to push through, so you can travel a lot faster.
Winner! Come on, James, come on!
Come on, James. You took 12 seconds. You took 44 seconds. There's a big difference there, yeah? So what the pool's showing us is that actually air density at ground level is a lot higher, the air's a lot thicker and there's more resistance, so you've got to work harder. Nathan, it's a lot easier for you because the air's a lot thinner. Ultimately, it shows us that Bloodhound has to work extremely hard to cut through the air.
So what have you learned about the problems of travelling really fast? I mean, you've been doing some really cool stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been indoor skydiving and we've also been in a microlight.
Mm-hmm.
When you're travelling at a high speed, it's quite hard to push through the air resistance.
Right, and so air resistance is a massive problem with this. Have you come across anything else?
When we were in the microlight, the man made a little adjustment and it just swerved and you think you're going to fall out, but you're not, and it's just dead scary.
What's happening here is these little winglets that you have on Bloodhound, they can be adjusted a tiny amount, and that changes how the air flows over the body. But it's really difficult to get the engineering right so that the whole thing stays on the ground. If you do get it right, well, you can be a world record breaker. Fighter jets can travel really fast, but even a fighter jet can't get to 1,000 miles an hour if it's at ground level, which is the speed Bloodhound is designed to go at. That's because at ground level, there's much more air, and it becomes really difficult when you go fast to push all of that air out of the way in time. And here at Links Primary School in South London, we're going to investigate how Bloodhound is designed to deal with that. So you probably don't think of air anything like, say, water over there, do you? No. But they're both quite similar, actually, because they both flow around things. They're both fluids. It's just that air is quite light and water is quite dense. It's quite hard to push out the way. And so we're going to be messing around with water to show you how to design things that go really fast. Here we're going to drop 2 pieces of modelling clay into water to show that increasing the power alone isn't enough to travel through water quickly. I'm going to drop mine, and my volunteer is going to throw hers in as hard as she can. And everyone else can look and see if they hit, which one hits first, okay? And I'll do 3, 2, 1, and then we'll throw, yeah? Okay? 3, 2, 1, go. It's about the same. And so it's really hard. If you're going really fast, things slow down so quickly, it basically makes no difference. But what we're going to do is we're going to show the big difference it makes if you just change the shape of the plasticine. You'll need 2 large drinks bottles with the tops cut off. Fill them with equal amounts of water. And then you'll need 2 pieces of modelling clay, which must be the same size. With one piece, mould a flat shape like the one I've just used. And with the other, experiment making different shapes to see how quickly they travel through the water.
1, 2, 3, go!
Make sure you drop them at the same time so that you can compare the 2 accurately. So when you're trying to make things that go fast through water, think of shapes of things that you know go really fast. Okay, so have a go yourselves and see which shapes are the fastest. Our 2 best performers are the green ball and the red dart. So let's put them head to head and test them out in the big tank to see which one is the quickest.
Yes! Oh, they were both perfect.
So did you notice what happened? That as soon as these sort of ones move sideways, they slow down? Yeah. So if they go straight all the way through the water like that, they're fine. But as soon as they turn the side on, then they're no good. What do you think you could do about that? Go on.
Put fins on it.
Yeah, so you could put something at the end, like a fin, that makes sure that it carries on going straight all the way through. So, I don't know, let's try it with this one. But the fins need to be really thin, don't they? You could try something like that, I guess. 3, 2, 1. This action replay clearly shows that the streamlined shape of the red dart, with fins for added stability, makes it a clear winner. So this fast shape, well, it's a bit like Bloodhound, really, isn't it? Yeah? Okay, pointy front, fins at the back, keeps it going straight. That's how to go really, really fast. It's one thing going fast, 1,000 miles an hour, but how do you stop? So anyone, any ideas about how you slow this thing down?
Maybe some brakes. Maybe a rocket in the other direction.
Well, those are both good ideas, but there's a lot more to slowing down than you might think. So see what you can discover.
We've come to Sandford in Northamptonshire. Home of the fastest motorsport on earth. Let's go!
We've come to meet Bloodhound engineer Annie Beresford, and away from the track we found a car that looks a bit like Bloodhound. It's long and thin, so we asked Annie how this car compares to Bloodhound.
Okay guys, so this is the split-second car. It's a jet-powered drag car, so that means it's powered by this jet engine here, and it goes in a straight line just like Bloodhound does. So Bloodhound also has a jet engine and is designed to go only in a straight line. This is Julian, who is the driver, who's the mad guy sitting in this small cockpit there. How fast do you think this car can go?
Top speed about 360 miles an hour.
So if it's going that fast, how do you think we slow this car down? Parachutes? Parachutes, that's right. We've got 2 parachutes sitting at the back of the car.
Every time we use one parachute, there's a second parachute. If that one goes wrong, we've got a second one just in case.
It's kind of nice to know you're not going to go all the way off the end of the track.
We asked Annie if there were any other types of brakes on the car.
Okay, so not only has this car got parachutes at the back of the car, it's actually got wheel brakes as well on the front of the car and on the rear wheels.
So why do these have to have brakes?
This has brakes purely to stop it at very low speeds and to hold it on the start line. If you were to use these when the car was going as fast as it does, it would actually just burn out the brakes. So you need the parachutes for the high speed running and then the wheel brakes for the low speed running.
Will Bloodhounds have brakes?
Yeah, Bloodhound also has brakes, but exactly the same as on this car. We'll use them to hold the car on the start line and then also to just slow it down at lower speeds, so below 100 miles an hour.
Back on the track, it's time to take the car for a run. Julian uses his wheel brakes to line up on the starting line. And after a mega fast run, reaching just under 230 miles an hour, it's the parachutes that slow him down, just like Bloodhound will do. The difference is that Bloodhound will go 4 times as fast, which is faster than a bullet fired from a gun.
You don't have to be a grown-up to join in the fun. Some children as young as 8 do this sport. Meet 13-year-old Paige Wheeler and her little sister Belle. Paige started the sport when she was just 10, but her 8-year-old sister is officially the world's youngest dragster racer.
Well, this is my car. I have a parachute here. Then I have the big tyres. They're mainly that thick so that, I could get a lot of traction on the track so I can go faster. This is my engine, and then my car's really skinny at the front and big at the back because it needs to be aerodynamic so it can go faster.
What's it like to drive your car?
Well, when I first put my foot down, my head goes right back into the seat and it actually really hurts.
How fast do you go?
My top speed is 86 miles per hour, but we're restricted to 85.
Although her car is a lot smaller than Bloodhound, Paige has to consider all the same things: how to accelerate as quickly as possible with her engine, and then how to slow down with her brakes before running off the end of the track, all in a matter of seconds. This is what it's like for her travelling up to 80 miles an hour. Imagine what it would be like for Bloodhound's driver Andy Green travelling over 12 times faster at 1,000 miles per hour.
So we know how Bloodhound will slow down, but just how quickly will it slow down? Back at the racing track, we asked Bloodhound teammate Connor to help us find out how quickly brakes can stop a car.
So you guys are going to put these boxes where you think is best, nicely in the middle of the road. Okay guys, so we'll look over to the side of the track, the end of those green barriers there, that's where Simon, our friendly racing driver, is going to start braking. He's in a family car, but the surface is quite grippy, nice grippy tyres, racing driver who's going to be very good at the brakes. Have a think, it's your guess how far it will take him to stop. You don't want to hit the boxes, but you want to get it close. 60 miles an hour, so that's almost like motorway speed in your mum and dad's cars. You think? So we're starting from here. You think that's enough?
No.
Further, 60 miles an hour. 60. There?
Yeah.
Do you think we should get out of the way then?
Yeah.
I think we probably should get out of the way. Come on then, come this side. So, guys, you pretty much chose around the same distance. You're both putting the boxes down about the same point. How far do you think that is? 5 metres, 10 metres?
Yeah, about 9, 7.
Maybe 9 metres?
7.
Okay.
7.
When racing driver Simon gets to the end of the green barrier, he'll slam on the brakes. Let's see what happens.
What do you think, guys? Are you expecting that? No, it took longer than you think, didn't it?
Yeah.
And that's with the really grippy tyres, with a racing driver on a really clean, grippy circuit. So stopping, more of a challenge than you thought, yeah? How far off do you think we were? About half. Do you think Simon started braking slightly early as well? Yeah. I think he did. I think he was worried about hitting the boxes in his car.
Yeah.
So braking, slowing something down, huge challenge. Almost as difficult as getting anything to go fast in the first place. And really important to do it safely as well.
So what have you learnt about how Bloodhound's going to slow down?
It's going to need a lot of space to slow down.
Well, the car will be going too fast for normal brakes, so it would overheat.
I think it will use a parachute.
Yeah, it's going to use a parachute, and it's also going to use these things on the side here, which are called air brakes. They pop out, and as the air hits them, it slows down. It creates something called drag. And that's what the parachute does as well. When these parachutes pop out, the air gets caught in them, causes the drag, and that's how this is going to slow down. It's going to be quite an experience for Andy Green to slow down so fast, I can tell you. Bloodhound is travelling so fast that brakes alone aren't enough to stop it. So actually it uses a couple of different ways of stopping, and one of those is a parachute. I'm here at Links Primary School in South London to investigate what makes a good parachute. So have any of you made a parachute before?
No!
If I have a tissue, and it's like this, and I just drop it, whoa, yeah? If I squish it up like that, and then drop it, what's going to happen? So why does that happen?
Because in a parachute it has to be like flat, and when you put it in the ball, no air can push it up, so it goes directly down.
Exactly, and so it needs a big, what's called a surface area. It needs a big area to catch all that air as it comes down. And that's really what makes a big parachute. So we got some cloths, we got some string, some sellotape, some card, and you're going to have to work out how to make your own parachute and stop an egg from breaking. Okay? Let's get cracking. Why don't you try making your own parachutes and think about other materials that you could use?
Well, we sort of decided to make a sort of hot air balloon design, so it will catch it, and then we're going to put the egg in that cup there. And the cup will also use sort of a cushion.
Okay, it's time to put some of these designs to the test.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, there you go. Fine. Right, I think this ground is too soft. None of the eggs are breaking. It's just far too easy. I'm going to have to make this a bit more challenging. Let's come over here. And I'll climb up on the roof. Hiya! So, shall I try them one by one, yeah? Okay, ready? Oh! Oh, not bad! Has it survived?
Just a tiny bit.
So who just sellotaped an egg to a plastic bag? Well and truly scrambled.
3, 2, 1. This about it did! It survived!
So did you see what happened there? Yeah. Quite a lot of them broke. But the best ones were the ones that floated down really slowly, that caught lots of air, and also that had some cushioning on the bottom. And that's exactly why Bloodhound uses a parachute, among other things, to slow down. It's just very effective when you catch lots of air. We're on a mission to find out what's needed to build the world's fastest car. Now, just like a normal car, Bloodhound has wheels, but there's something very different about them. Have you noticed what it is? Well, maybe my willing investigators have found something out. So, like any normal car, Bloodhound has 4 wheels, but what's different about them? Have you noticed anything?
But it doesn't have any tyres.
Yes, it doesn't have any tyres, and there's a very good reason for that. And what I'd like you to do is find out why.
Unlike a normal car, Bloodhound only has to go in a straight line to break the land speed record. But surely it still needs tyres.
We've come to Mallory Park Racing Track in Leicestershire.
And we're going to burn some rubber.
Hundreds of different types of cars use this track every day, from racing cars to motorbikes. So where better to try and find out why tyres are normally so important for driving? At the track today is Bloodhound teammate Connor and racing driver Simon. They put a swingometer device on top of the car, so what on earth is that all about? And more importantly, what's it got to do with Bloodhound?
We're going to go on the track this time with Simon in this car, but for this experiment we're going to use this arrow to show what's going on with this car as the tyres grip as we go through the bends. So when we're in the car and we feel our bodies being thrown left and right, we'll have a chat and try and figure out which way we think the arrow's going, which way the forces are acting on us in the car as it goes around the bends. Okay?
Yep.
Let's go. We wouldn't be able to drive along like this now if we didn't have tyres. Simon would put his foot on the throttle and probably the wheels would just spin and spin and spin. Feel the grip, feel the tyre gripping, pushing you right over that side. Which way did you feel yourselves go? We're going to change again, get ready for another change. Another change. Well done.
So when you go into the corner, the car rolls one way. As you change direction, the car rolls the other way.
And if there were no tyres on these wheels, we just slip straight off the track. There's very little grip without having the rubber. Feel the forces again, and when we go left, which way does your body go? And when we go right, which way does your body go? And which way do you think the arrow went on the roof then? Same as you or different? Same as you. Is that how your mum and dad drive?
No.
My dad does, he's a maniac.
But having tyres doesn't always mean your car will stay on the road. We wanted to know why these cars were spinning all over the place, even with tyres. So we asked Bloodhound teammate Annie Beresford.
Okay guys, what we've got here is cars doing drifting. So they've got normal road tyres on, which is exactly like what you've got on your car that you came in today, but I bet you weren't driving like this. Now your tyres are normally giving you the grip that you need to stay on the road and drive sensibly around corners. These guys are actually spinning their wheels so fast that they're losing that grip and enabling them to slide. We're really lucky with Bloodhound in that we're going in a straight line only, so we don't actually have to go around any corners.
Bloodhound's wheels will need to travel so fast they'd also lose grip. Tyres would get so hot they'd explode. If Bloodhound had tyres, the grip would actually slow the car down, but not having any tyres comes at a price.
So we've seen how important tyres are in that car whizzing around the track. We're going to have a little play on these bikes now and see how important tyres are on a bike and see whether you can spot a difference, okay? Just jump on and we'll go for a little ride around, then we'll have a chat. Ready guys, off you go.
There's something very strange about Anton's bike that's making it very difficult to steer and so bumpy.
How was that?
Bumpy.
Slippy?
Yeah.
Slippy? Did you feel like you were going to fall off at all? Wobbly?
Yeah, when I was turning back round, I felt like I was going to...
We saw your back wheel was all over the place because there's no tyre. And you were fine because you had lovely squashy tyres, nice and grippy. Could you do that every day or was that a one-off?
One off.
One off. So on the road, on the bikes, tyres are a great thing. But for Bloodhounds, we're too fast for tyres. It's the fastest tyres in the world, 450 miles an hour. We're going 1,000. So Bloodhound has solid wheels, just like you. We're running on the rims, no tyres. So we have to design that into the car.
Bloodhound's wheels are also really thin for such a big car, and we wanted to know why.
It's time to get our skates on.
Okay guys, how did you find that? Was it good?
Yeah, slippery.
Really slippy. Why do you think that was so slippy now?
Is it because our blades on the shoes are really thin?
Yeah, the fact that your blades are really thin and the fact that you're on a really, really slippy surface and there's very little friction between the two. Whereas if you were to step onto the tarmac, it's really grippy and actually you wouldn't slide anywhere. And that's just like Bloodhound. We've actually got very thin wheels so that we can cut through the ground very, very easily and there's not a lot of friction on those wheels. But it also means stopping and slowing down is harder for us and so we can't use our wheel brakes because the wheels will slide quite easily.
So what have you learnt about Bloodhound's wheels?
Well, the wheels are made out of aluminium, and if they were proper tyres at high speed, they would explode.
Right, OK, anything else?
Yes, the Bloodhound car did not have any tyres because the tyres would grip to the ground and make it go slower.
Right, OK, but if it doesn't have tyres, it must be really bumpy, I imagine, yeah?
Yeah, a normal car would have tyres to go around the bend, but the Bloodhound does not need tyres because it is going in a straight line.
Well, glad I'm not riding it. Bloodhound is designed to go at 1,000 miles an hour, and that's going to make it the fastest car in the world. But although, like a normal car, it's got wheels, it doesn't actually have any tyres. And we're here at Links Primary School in South London to try and find out why that is. So, do you know why a normal car has tyres? Go on then.
To grip onto the road?
Yeah, exactly, and that grip is called friction. Here's a really quick demo to show how powerful friction is. Interlace the pages of 2 paperback books and just see if you can pull them apart. It's pretty strong. All that's holding those together is the friction between the pages. But the harder you pull, the more they're pushed together and the more friction there is. Do you want to have a go? But of course, Bloodhound isn't using the tyres to power it, it's using a jet engine and a rocket. And so it doesn't need to grip the road like that. And besides, it's just not even going around corners, so it doesn't need the tyres to grip when it goes around corners. Even if it did have tyres, the tyres might be in a bit of trouble, and I'm going to show you why, but it's going to get a bit messy. For this bit, all you're going to need is a turntable or something similar that spins round and some jelly. So we'll put that in the middle. Yep.
It looks like spaghetti.
Do you want to try spinning it? A bit faster. So can you see what's happening to it?
I think.
So did you see what was happening there to the jelly?
Yeah.
So what was happening?
It was spreading around, and then the force was taking it all in different directions.
Absolutely. The forces on it were just throwing it in all directions. It just went, didn't it?
It's like an explosion.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's exactly what would happen to tyres if they went that fast on Bloodhound. If you're doing this at home, or if you don't have a turntable, try raiding the kitchen cupboards and see if you can find a salad spinner. Right, let's spin it up. Let's say take the lid off.
Have you this? Where's it all gone?
That really has disintegrated. Look, it's all coming out the bottom as well. So this is exactly what would happen to car tyres going at that sort of speed. They would just completely disintegrate. Look at that. All cars need an engine, but where'd you get one that gets you to 1,000 miles an hour? Well, that's the challenge for our team of investigators to find out. So it's a big car, but have you spotted anything that would propel it forwards?
It seemed to have 2 enormous exhausts.
Well spotted. And what do you think's going to go in there and in there? That's for you to find out.
We're here at a secret rocket testing site in Buckinghamshire.
Shh, this way.
Hello there.
Hi.
Welcome to the Bloodhound Rocket Test Site. My name's Daniel Jubb. I'm the rocket scientist on Bloodhound SSC. Would you like to find out a little bit more about how rockets work?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's go and do some experiments.
So what has
tug of war got to do with rockets and Bloodhound?
In order to understand how rockets work and what makes Bloodhound move, you have to understand about forces. So at the moment, you're both exerting a force on this rope, but it's not moving, so the forces are balanced. But if you introduce a larger force, like the thrust from a rocket or a jet engine, we can start things moving.
Stop! But to accelerate to 1,000 miles an hour, Bloodhound is going to need a huge force to push it along. Although it will have a fighter jet engine, that won't be enough. It's going to need a rocket.
This is the kind of rocket that you may be familiar with. It's a firework, but it works on exactly the same principle that we're going to use to propel Bloodhound across the desert at 1,000 miles an hour. We have gunpowder inside this rocket. Now that's a mixture of a fuel and an oxidizer in solid form. And when we ignite that, it generates a huge volume of hot gas. And we expand those hot gases through a nozzle and accelerate them rearward at very high speed. That produces a force, thrust, acting on the rocket to propel it forwards.
Wow, that's amazing.
So to generate that enormous volume of hot gas in a rocket, we need to burn a fuel.
Daniel showed us just how powerful some solid fuels can be. The secret is they contain their own oxygen, which everything needs to burn well. But Bloodhound's going to need something more advanced than a fireworks rocket. Cool! Instead, it's going to use a mixture of solid fuel and this special liquid called HTP, high-test peroxide, which is so reactive it instantly burns the fuel. It doesn't even need a match to light it. This really is rocket science.
Now, in Bloodhound, we're using a very large quantity of high-test peroxide to burn a rubber fuel in our hybrid rocket.
Should have brought some marshmallows. So, what's this contraption?
This is the 6-inch hybrid rocket that we've been developing for Bloodhound. It's not the full-size one that's going to go on the car. The full-size one will actually be 3 times the diameter and twice as long, but it will actually produce about 10 times as much thrust. In this combustion chamber, we've got our solid fuel, and in this big tank behind us, we've got our hydrogen peroxide, HTP.
Which way will the car move?
The car will move forwards. The rocket exhaust is firing out the doors, so the gases are being pushed in that direction, and that's exerting a force in this direction against the stand. So would you like to go and see the control room and watch a video of the rocket firing?
Yes.
Let's go then. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
Wow, I wouldn't like to have that going off in the back of my mum and dad's car.
So what have you learnt about how Bloodhound's going to go forwards?
Bloodhound's going to need a huge rocket to propel it forwards.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, it's got 2 engines. It's got a jet engine up here, and that's going to take it to 300 miles an hour, and then they're going to fire off the rocket down here, which will take it to the full 1,000. What do you think it's going to be like when that goes off?
Very noisy.
Very noisy.
Scary.
Yeah, but it's only going to last for 10 seconds because once they've reached the land speed record, then the rocket's going to cut out and it'll be time to slow down again.